5pmnation.com.
I was driving to a gig just the other day when President Obama said marriage was okay, not just for the straights, but also for the gays, and like most Americans, I was amazed. Gay people have to get married now? Haven't they suffered enough? I figured fair is fair. I was cool with it. But when I got to my gig, this guy told me the president was evil, said it was written all there in his Bible. I looked over his shoulder. I said, what book is this? He said, the almighty book of Leviticus. Check it out, John chapter 18, verse 22. No dude should lie down with another dude. Ooh. I mean, that's a paraphrase, but that's basically what it said. Now, I had gone to Catholic school, but I had forgotten that little rule, so I borrowed his Bible. I kept reading on, wanting to see what else Leviticus thought was wrong. So here's a list of some other things Leviticus thinks is wrong. I hope that's okay. Oh, Leviticus, Leviticus. You're in the Bible, so they take you serious. Are you too old? Are you still relevant? Oh, my sweet Leviticus. Chapter 19, verse 19 said a few interesting things. It said, don't let cows graze with other kinds of cows. Don't plant more than one crop in the same field. And don't wear clothes made out of more than one kind of fabric. I pause here to let that sink in. I also pause because not much rhymes with fabric. Chapter 19, verse 27 says you shouldn't cut your hair or shave your beard ever. I know to most of us it doesn't sound like much fun, but I got some hippie friends in California. They love that one. Verse 4 of chapter 20 says you should be stoned to death if you curse your mommy or your daddy. Verse 14 of chapter 24 says you should be stoned to death if you ever blaspheme the Lord. Ouch. I should mention there's a lot of stoning to death in this book. And if any of my hippie friends from California are here tonight and they don't know what stoning to death means, come talk to me after the show. You're not going to like it. Chapter 11, verses 4 through 7 gave a list of animals thou shalt not eat. I read it to him. First, camel. No problem. Next, rabbit. Okay. Third, pig. Uh-oh. He looked nervous. He had that look of, I still want to be intolerant, but I also want to eat bacon. Finally, we got to the big one, chapter 18, verse 22. Whenever two men lie together, they should be stoned. Well, sounds good to me. Leviticus, Leviticus. You're in the Bible, so they take you serious. Are you too old? Are you still relevant? Oh, my sweet Leviticus. I was having fun reading and learning all this stuff when the guy grabbed his Bible and told me to stop. Packed up his things, ran off real quick. It was the first time in history where a guy with the Bible actually forced someone to stop reading it. It was great. Now, the election is over. I don't care about your vote, and I don't care what your religion is. I would just hope if people could get worked up over stuff like that, maybe they could get worked up over stuff that's way, 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 way more important. Yeah, like feeding people, healing sick people, loving your neighbor, you know, no big deal. Just all that Jesus stuff.
Attorney General William Barr told lawmakers Tuesday that he's still on track to release a version of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report on the Russia investigation by mid-April.
Within a week, I will be in a position to release the report to the public, and then I will
engage with the chairman of both judiciary committees about that report and about any further requests that they have.
The report is going to be redacted. Barr said he'll be removing grand jury material, information that could affect ongoing investigations, classified information, and other details that could implicate the privacy of peripheral third parties. Democrats have been pushing for the entirety of Mueller's confidential report to be released, and they've threatened to issue a subpoena to get it. The point of Tuesday's hearing was to talk about the Justice Department's budget, not Barr's handling of the Mueller report. But since it marked the first time Barr had testified since releasing his summary of the findings on March 24th, Democratic lawmakers came prepared with plenty of questions. Barr refused to answer a question about whether the White House had been briefed or shown a copy of the full report.
I'm not going to say anything more about it until the report is out and everyone has a chance to look at it.
Barr previously said in late March that he had no plans to submit all of Mueller's findings to the White House for an executive privilege review.
I really believe I'd run in there even if I didn't have a weapon. And I think most of the people in this room would have done that too. Nobody knows the system better than me.
Nobody knows politicians better than I do.
Nobody knows. Nobody's better.
Nobody's stronger. There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
I love the First Amendment. Nobody loves it better than me. Nobody loves the Bible more than I do.
There is nobody that respects women more than I do.
Nobody builds walls better than me.
Nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. Nobody knows that better than me.
Nobody even understands it but me.
Nobody can do it like me.
Which is why I alone can fix it. I have Ivy League education, smart guy. I know words. I have the best words.
I mean, I'm a smart person. It's this. It's not my salesmanship. It's what? This. You know what that is? It's the brain power.
I'm getting thousands of letters and tweets that I was right about the whole situation. I mean, I've been right about a lot of things, frankly. I should be a newscaster because I called it before the news.
I watch this stuff. You know, I'm like a guy with vision. I have an instinct for this kind of thing.
I'm good at war. I've had a lot of wars of my own. I'm really good at war.
In my book, I predicted terrorism.
It's a rigged system. I think I've done a great service by pointing this out. I was the one that really broke the glass ceiling on behalf of women. I think I'm doing the military a great favor.
Did a great job in Texas, a great job in Florida.
I truly believe that the first 100 days of my administration has been just about the most successful in our country's history.
It looked like 1 million, 1.5 million people.
Thank you, everybody. What a crowd, what a turnout.
I understand steaks. It's my favorite food, and these are the best.
Was this a good vote? The best. Okay, the best vote of the night. How am I doing? Okay, I'm president. Hey, I'm president. Can you believe it, right?
Sequence starts. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, hello, guys.
And hello to you. It is Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating for the second day in a row, kind of a gloomy, dreary downtown Manchester, New Hampshire, but that's okay. We'll have some fun for the next couple of hours. Of course, we're also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. We're on WMNHradio.org and on Facebook via Facebook Live on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. So hello, everybody. Excuse me. Today is April 9th, 2019. 603-250-6007 is the number to call. 603-250-6007. That hello, guys, that you heard, that was Eric Gagnon. Eric was here yesterday for the first 30 minutes or so. He had said something to me on the morning show that I found very hurtful. So I was able to sort of confront him on that Turned out he was only kidding, but he made a little joke about, Matt doesn't have any feelings, or because Peter White had suggested that Eric might have hurt my feelings because Eric, on the April 1st show, our April Fool's edition of Matt Connarton Unleashed, Eric was very negative about the smooth jazz experience that we had that day. And Peter White said to Eric, you might have hurt Matt's feelings. And Eric said something about, I don't think he has any feelings. It was
those kind of remarks are very hurtful.
See, the ghost of John McCain, my official new co-host here on the show, also didn't appreciate Eric's remarks. But I did talk to Eric about that, as well as various other things. Had a great time. If you missed any part of yesterday's show, of course, it is up at WMNHradio.org, where we do archive all the programs. Let's see, so far in the Facebook live chat, we see Ed Murphy in there. Hello, Ed. Jenny joins us in the Facebook live chat. Jane Gallup says, hi from crappy Connecticut. I hear that a lot from people who are either live in Connecticut or have lived in Connecticut. They don't like it. Connecticut, however, is the state of my birth. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, in a hospital. I think it's Hartford Hospital. I'd have to look at my certificate of birth. But I used to tell people I was born in Kenya, but no one believed me. That's a little joke. Let's see. Hello to Rhonda Ostrowitz Favero. I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly in the Facebook live chat. Hello, Rhonda. Hello to Fred Boenig from the dailyripple.org. Fred, thank you again so much for sending me that song, Talking Leviticus Blues. I really love that. Hello to Chris Rose, who joins us online. Oh, looks like we're in for a busy day. Jenny put something in. I assume it's okay to talk about this on the air because you put it in the Facebook live chat for the show. So if it's not okay to talk about this, better tell me now, but I assume it is. So Jenny earlier had an experience where she reached out to an old friend from school on Facebook, whom she had communicated with before, and was rather surprised to see that her friend, I guess, didn't want to talk to her and had unfriended her. And Jenny was trying to figure out what could it be? I don't know what I did to this person. I don't know why she'd be upset with me. It doesn't make any sense. And I said, it was the first thing that occurred to me, because we live in an era where this is not atypical. Jenny says it's okay. Okay. We live in an era where this is not atypical or unusual by any means. I said to Jenny, I said, if someone on Facebook unfriended you and you have no idea why, and you have no idea what you could have possibly done, there's an excellent chance that that person is someone who deeply loves and reveres our president, Donald John Trump. Yes. And here's the thing about that. And here's why I said that, because what I have noticed is, and I've talked about this on the show before, and if you're a regular listener, you know I'm not myself a great fan of the president. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent, so it has nothing to do with purely ideological reasons. I think he's a blithering buffoon and kind of embarrassing in a lot of ways. But I do compliment him when I think he's right. There occasionally are things that I appreciate about him, or will give him credit for, like signing criminal justice reform. That's one example. But I don't care for him overall, and I find it very easy to lampoon him. But I said to Jenny, I said, a lot of people, not everyone, clearly, because there are people who are Trump supporters who will engage me, whether it's Jeff Skumpi Lorenz, who great guy, he loves Trump, or at least he seems to like him very much, but he comes on the show sometimes and we talk and have a great time. And Mike Doyle, who likes Trump but is a frequent caller. Mike's been on the show once too, but Mike and I usually have a great conversation. Sometimes I have to kind of give him a little sharp elbow there, not metaphysically, metaphorically speaking. Metaphysically, that'd be amazing if I could do that, like through the atmosphere. Give him a sharp elbow, but to get a word in. But certainly I don't want to paint all Trump supporters like this. But I hear sirens. I do have the window open. It was very, very warm in here when I got here. And that's a sign of spring, my friends, when there are sirens, a whole bunch of sirens at once at some point during the course of my show. And it's never just one or two sirens either. It's always enough sirens. I don't know if the mic picks that up. It's always enough sirens where it sounds like a terrible calamity has happened somewhere. But there are many, many Trump supporters who will not tolerate anything negative spoken about their hero, their personal hero and savior, Donald John Trump. They just, Fred says, your ride is here. Oh, my goodness, my ride is early. I mean, I'm on the air till 6 p.m. But, I mean, you know, it's funny because a lot of conservatives talk about liberals as being snowflakes because a lot of liberals are extremely politically correct and very sensitive, and, you know, social justice warriors tend to be liberals and so forth. So a lot of conservatives like to lampoon liberals with that term snowflakes. And by the way, I often agree with conservatives when they do that because, you know, again, I'm not a conservative, but I don't consider myself a liberal either. I mean, if I, you know, did a 2-hour show every day just talking about gun rights, you'd think I was a raving conservative, right? So, you know, I'm an independent, and I see a lot of snowflakery on both sides. So that's why it's funny to me. Conservatives like to tag liberals as being snowflakes because, you know, liberals get upset about Halloween costumes and, you know, all this kind of stuff that gets very silly at times and is taken to an absurd extreme. So conservatives very often are correct when they, in some instances, maybe even most instances, when they make fun of liberals as being snowflakes. But there's a lot of snowflakery on the right, too. And one of the ways that conservatives are snowflakes is very often, not all, again, I gave you a couple of examples of people I know personally who interact with the program who do not fall into this category. But there are a lot of Trump supporters who are so deeply insecure and protective of their hero, Donald John Trump, whom they, I think, truly believe is the greatest president in the history of the galaxy, probably in the history of creation, going all the way back to Adam and Eve, the greatest leader, just one step below the Lord or something. They love and revere him so much, they cannot stand even the faintest criticism of him from anyone. And by the way, in Jenny's case, Rhonda says, I'm the same independent. And then she says, so true. I assume referring to my criticism, if you will, of the snowflakes on the right. So Jenny, if you look at her Facebook feed, though, I mean, it's not like she's even posting a lot of anti-Trump stuff. She really doesn't. You know, it's pretty mild in terms of criticism of the president, you know, compared to many people. But she does post some things that are critical of him or shares things that I've posted or whatever. So I said to Jenny, I said, your friend probably saw, if you really have no idea what it could be, I would almost bet you anything it's this, because it's so common. Your friend probably saw something on your Facebook page that said something about Trump that wasn't just glowing praise and just lost her mind and was like, oh my goodness, I can't have anything to do with this person. This person doesn't think that Donald John Trump walks on water and has saved our country because Barack Obama spent 8 years completely ruining and destroying the very fabric of our nation. And then Donald Trump came along and saved us all. And Jenny doesn't think that, so I can no longer speak to her. Oh my goodness. I can't let any conflicting information in my head. I got to unfriend her really quick, and then I got to go turn on Fox News really quick. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? She probably had that kind of freak out. So, because those people are out there. And that's what Jenny was referring to in the Facebook live chat. She said, yeah, you were right. That's what it was. So, you know, and Jenny says, oh my God, I just love you. So oh my God, Rhonda Now, this is interesting. So Rhonda says in the Facebook live chat, I actually voted for him, kicking myself in the ass. Now, that's interesting, Rhonda, because that is rare. At least on, but maybe it's not as rare as I think it is. I don't know. Because my impression, my general impression in talking to people who voted for Trump is that even those who will be critical of him in some instances on some things, who maybe don't absolutely agree with everything he says, take everything he says as gospel, they're very reluctant generally to criticize him on anything, even when it's something they're, like trade, for example. Trump loves tariffs and all this, and he's very protectionist on trade. And gee, I thought the Republican Party was the party of free trade. But then Trump comes along and says, no, we're not the party of free trade anymore. And then all these Republicans go, instead of going, well, I don't really agree with the president on this, they all go, okay, I guess we're not the party of free trade anymore. That's what Daddy said, right? So it's very rare that I meet or talk with anyone who voted for Trump who is willing to say, Rhonda, what you have the courage to say, because I'm sure if you've expressed this to if you've expressed this to people you've probably lost friends yourself, right, over saying this. It's so rare that I talk to someone or hear from someone or see someone on social media say, I voted for Trump, I regret it. Or even so much as I voted for Trump, I kind of am not sure if that was the right decision or whatever. So I applaud you, Rhonda, for saying what you said, because that's a rare thing. That's why I've been saying that Rhonda says yes. I assume that's yes to the lost friends part. That's why I've been saying I actually think if the economy holds, and I don't think there's any immediate reason to think that it won't. But, I mean, on the one hand, we are due for a recession. We are. And the economy goes in cycles. And by the way, I wouldn't even necessarily hang that on Trump if we have one. We're overdue for one. I'm always very skeptical of assigning much credit and or blame to the president in terms of how the economy performs. But most people would disagree with me on that. Most people do credit or blame the president. So I think if the economy holds, he will win a second term. And in fact, I've seen, and not from any kind of conservative websites or commentators either, but just I've seen some articles online which detail how Trump could actually win a second term in a landslide. And I think it's all about the economy. If the economy holds, this was my prediction a while ago. If the economy holds, and if Trump survives the Mueller probe, which it appears that he has, I still want to see the full report. And I want to know why Mueller said, even though even though he couldn't recommend any further indictments, he also could not exonerate the president, which is an important point. But I've always said, if Trump survives the Mueller probe and the economy holds, and, there's other investigations going on. You've got the Southern District of New York is continuing to investigate things, and the state AG in New York, right? So he's got other worries, which is why he kind of has to win a second term to avoid indictment. But I've predicted if he survives the Mueller probe and the economy holds, I think he could easily win in a landslide. And one of the reasons I say that, and Fred disagrees with me, but the reason that I say that is because I believe, but Rhonda, you provide evidence that I could be wrong. But my belief is that, broadly speaking, everyone who voted for him the first time will vote for him again. Not literally everyone, Rhonda. It sounds like you're not going to. And I think I saw someone in a CNN panel once who was a Trump voter who said he wasn't going to. But most people will. And Fred disagrees. We'll get to that, unless this is Fred calling, in which case we'll get to that right now. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, Matt, it's Skumpi.
Jeff Skumpi Lorenz, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very, very well.
By the way, Skumpi, I give you great credit. I don't know if you were listening or if you're just randomly calling, but you are one of the few Trump supporters I know personally who is never afraid to criticize him when you think he's wrong.
Dude, that's exactly what I was calling about. You said, oh, everyone criticizes him. Oh, he's a hero. He's a hero. No, I criticize him because he can be a real, a pain in the A.
Right.
With his stupid tweeting and his stupid, comments. I mean, he's hardcore. He speaks his mind, but yeah, I will criticize him a lot.
Yes, and I
like what he's trying to do, but
yeah,
like I always say, get out of the teenage girl tweeting thing and run the goddamn country. That's I do. I criticize him a lot.
You do.
He says a lot of stupid things, and what are you doing? What are you doing? I love you. Run the country.
Right.
Leave that stuff alone. The little bull crap. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
But that's why I was calling. It's great that you said that you just answered my question. I'm one of the only guys.
Yeah.
It's funny. You have me down.
But do you have, now I'm curious though, Skumpi, do you have friends who are Trump supporters who kind of get a little bit annoyed with you when you criticize them?
No, well, I have non-Trump supporters that, we don't talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
right.
me and Peter White even, we don't get into that.
Yeah.
He knows I'm a Trump, so he knows, we're a bunch of Trump supporters that he has for friends. And
yeah.
It's not a big deal.
He likes to. He does like to get into it a little bit with Mike Doyle. Mike Doyle brings that out of him.
Yeah, Mike Doyle. Oh, he loves it. He loves busting his balls on that one.
He does. I've noticed. Yeah, and I think Peter enjoys it too. But
he does.
Yeah. it gives him a chance to do that a little bit.
I want to let you know too. We had a great Davion show. Great Davion show.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry I missed it. Jenny and I do want to get to a show, but things have been very, very hectic. But I'm glad it went well. Was that
it did.
Was that the tribute show to your friend, or is that still coming up?
No, we didn't do it because the Damage guys. I think it was just a little too soon, and I don't want them to think that we're trying to get more people there because of Johnny Bones. No, but I did make a tribute to him. There was a lot of people there that knew him. It was beautiful. Everyone toasted to him. But we're gonna do another one. I'm gonna get the Damage guys, their band in. But I think it's too soon. They're not ready to do it yet.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm waiting until they're ready.
Okay.
We got other shows lined up. So, we're doing the Deerhead next Friday, the 19th.
Okay.
And that's kind of a birthday show because I have like 6 different friends, all April birthdays.
Oh,
a big
wow.
birthday show. And then I'll stay in touch with Bob St. George and Jeff Collins and Paul Bourgeois. I'll stay in touch with them, the Damage guys. And when they're ready, then we'll do a tribute show.
Yeah.
But I really got to kind of leave it up to them. I can't, I don't want to be like, kind of selfish. Oh, we'll get more people because they'll get the Damage. I don't want.
I know.
When they're ready, we'll do it.
No,
and it's about those guys. It's about those guys and Johnny Bones. It's not about DEF CON. It's about the Damage and Johnny Bones, and that's the way I want it to be.
Yeah. And for those,
you know what I mean.
For those who don't know,
I don't want to. I don't want people to think that I'm just doing this to get more people to my show. I don't. No, I want Damage. I want everyone to know it and know we love them, and I want everyone to say, okay, let's do this now.
And just
and I really want the Damage guys, his band. I want them to be there, and that's going to be the main. The main draw is for Johnny Bones,
and
not for DEF CON.
And Skumpi,
it'd be beautiful.
Skumpi, just for context for people who are listening who don't know, so Johnny Bones is the gentleman, your friend, who passed away, and Damage was the band that he was in.
Exactly, he was a bass player, and all of them were big fans of DEF CON back in like the 80s when they just turned 21. They could go to the clubs.
Yeah,
they'd all show up to see us. And all of a sudden, we rented this jam room down in the Mills. It was actually right off of 2nd Street across. I don't know, but they ended up next door to us, and we showed them a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and we took them under our wing, and they loved us, and we loved them, and we both supported each other forever. And they became huge. They were great. I mean, I love all of them. It's just I go see them every time. They come see us every time. It was, we just supported each other. We did a lot of shows together. The Damage DEFCON shows were huge. We get so many people there. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
We couldn't even get in.
Wow.
You know?
That's awesome.
But it's about those guys, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to do a tribute show until they want to do one.
Right.
And then I'm in all the way, 100%.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. All right. Hey,
we get our new originals came out. Oh boy, they go over well too. We got a lot of new originals, and we wrote one for the movie. We played it on the played it live the other night. It went over big time.
Are they out now? Like, are they available online?
Not yet. No, we're waiting. Oh. We got to get about I don't know. We're writing a whole bunch of stuff down. We're going to make a whole CD, and it's all going to be available. But
great.
We're waiting. It's probably about a year down the road, but we're going to have about 10, 11. We're going to make a whole CD, a whole album, and
fantastic!
And put it on Spotify and the whole bit.
Good. Okay. Hey, by the way, any update on your acting? Because I know you've got a couple of things that are going to be coming out.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for Chance, and it's called Chance.
Yeah,
that one should be out. I don't know. I keep saying any day, but I'm waiting for Terry the Trainer. He came down to our practice rehearsal last week.
Yeah,
because one of the songs we wrote, the last two, goes to the last two.
Okay,
but it's kind of a metal song that goes. It's kind of a, it's a music video with the film.
Yeah,
we gotta run, boy, and then we crank out, and we kind of incorporate both.
Right.
So we're working on shooting that, and then as far as the movies, there's a chance. I'm basically just a stunt guy. I get to throw people around. It's real fun. and then Dinner Party, which they're bringing to all the festivals now too. Is
excellent.
I play the French Canadian mill worker, like on strike, and hey, yo, you, well, you.
Yeah, I want to see that
accent and everything. I play me. I can be different people.
Well, yeah.
But
you're an actor.
Yeah. I'm a thespian. Remember?
A thespian. Yes. I like it.
Not to be misunderstood. A thespian.
Thespian. Yes. Very good.
Even though I'm on the same team as the lesbians, it's still the same team.
Okay. Sure.
All right. No, Matt, I'll let you go. Great job. Good show. But it's funny, I called you, and I was going to say, because you were talking about Trump, the guys that, he's a hero, and they don't,
Yeah.
I put him down all the time. I go, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Oh, what a stupid,
I know.
I am that guy that does that. And when I called, you actually you told me what I was going to say.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
I'm telling you, Matt, you are good. You know Skumpi pretty well.
I guess so. I'm the Skumpi whisperer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Skumpi whisperer.
Yes.
Not like the guy in Oregon. We're going to find out who that is still. But anyway.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, we do. We need to do something about that, and we will.
There are two now, and I don't know. I think I'm the original.
In the end, there can be only one, like the Highlander.
That's right.
Yes. All right, Skumpi. Thank you for the call, my friend.
All right, man. Peace. Love you guys.
All right. Take care.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
All right. John Hopwood has just entered the room and yelling about something. And because he I can't hear you when I have these headphones on, and you still don't.
Skumpi.
Oh, you do? Well, he's listening to the show. He'll hear it.
Skumpi, call Chuck at Panucci's.
Oh, no, very nice.
They had a band cancel.
Oh.
They need somebody for Saturday night.
Oh, okay.
My foot has gone out.
Oh, that's terrible.
My back is... Yeah, everything starts falling apart. I was listening to you on the radio.
Yes. Got a bunch of Facebook Live comments on here to catch up with. So Rhonda said, wanted a strong leader, not a dictator, referring to Trump, of course. Jenny says, I'm not convinced Hillary wouldn't have been worse of a war hawk. I didn't vote for either of them.
That's true.
Well, I've said that too. I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I tried to, when Trump won, I thought, well, at least we're less likely to end up invading somebody. I've always said Hillary Clinton, to me, essentially a neocon, and I think would have been very comfortable in the George W. Bush administration on that foreign policy team.
The Democratic Party and the so-called left-wing establishment that all the people of a certain persuasion talk about But, this is a country that starts at the center right and goes to the hard right. So the left wing is center right. The Democratic Party and the New York Times, they are Reagan Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Reagan Republican philosophy. No antitrust law. Isn't it awful? Liz Warren talking about antitrust, where the fact that Bill Clinton dropped the Microsoft antitrust suit was the first president. Even William McKinley, how much more conservative can you get than him? They had an antitrust suit under him. And that's when the law was passed, the Sherman antitrust law. John Sherman, the conservative Republican from Ohio, senator, whose brother was, a great Civil War general. I mean, it's crazy, Oh, they talking about antitrust. Isn't it awful? I was reading an article republished from the New York Times where people are making, a living going through the dumpsters of the billionaires in San Francisco and the multimillionaires. They throw out everything. They use it a few times. This disposable society.
Yep.
But
so Fred said, it's coming, referring to the possibility of a recession because we are kind of overdue for one.
Yeah, but he's got the Fed. They're going to control it politically to put off a mild recession and have a bigger one to get him reelected.
Could be. Fred says, always a recession after a big tax cut. I hadn't thought of it that way. And Fred also says he can't win in a landslide. He hasn't broken 42% in terms of his approval rating. I don't know if I buy that. I mean,
he's about 44 to 45, but it's solid, it's the Electoral College that counts.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I don't think his approval rating... I mean, George W. Bush, I still can't believe we gave him a second term, but his approval rating wasn't so good either. I mean, I don't know if it was quite that low, but if it wasn't, it was close.
I was no Obama fan, as you know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a respite. I couldn't believe he got elected the first time, let alone the second time.
Yeah.
It was... Yeah.
Well, he had a.
If John Kerry didn't have PTSD,
he had a
and lay back from that swift boating was beyond belief. There's the press, making a horse out of horse manure.
Jenny says it depends on who the other side presents. Stay with the same old, and they might as well just skip the election. I mean, a lot of it will depend on who the Democratic nominee is, certainly.
No, it's not. The Democrats are going to P.I. sibilance this away, just like they've done so many elections.
Rhonda says, caller, right on. The thing that like I said, the thing that I really respect about Skumpi is he's a Trump supporter, but he's not
a fanatic,
right? And he's not afraid to look at Trump objectively when Trump does something that Skumpi doesn't like. And I always say that in a truly
what was that?
I don't know.
Was that the ghost? It sounded like one of those Russian walruses that are climbing up. They go up there in the escarpment, and then they start going up and up. And then they're 250 feet up, and they just belly flop off the cliffs. It sounded just like that.
That could be. I didn't hear it. No, but I always say that in a truly healthy...
You just don't want to hear it.
Right. In a truly healthy political society and culture, if you vote for someone and they win, you should be the first to criticize them when you see them screwing up, not the last, because you voted for them. You should want them to live up to whatever it is you voted for. So that's what I admire about Skumpi, is he's the first to say, no, Trump said this, Trump did this, and I don't agree with it. Even though I support him, I disagree with this, and I'm calling him out on it. And I think that's good. I wish there was more of that. I mean, I voted for Obama in 2008, and then I spent the next 4 years, well, really the next 8 years, basically complaining about, and there's some things I really liked about Obama, too, by the way. It's not all negative. But there were some things that disappointed me.
You liked Michelle.
I do like Michelle Obama, yes.
She should be the run for president.
I think she comported herself quite well as first lady. She could be the nominee, I think. She's enormously
a hell
popular.
Of a dame.
Rhonda says, absolutely right, Matt. Thank you, Rhonda. Jenny says, I stand by his support of Jerusalem and moving our embassy. That's true. That's something Jenny's been very supportive of the president on. She says, damn, will someone ban him from Twitter? That is just awful. I assume referring to Trump. Michael Martineau joins us. Michael Martineau might be the one cast member of the morning show even more popular than Easy G. That's a little bit inside, I know, but some of you will know what I mean. Fred says, except the swing states that he won last time all voted Dem in 2018. I don't think it's going to matter.
That's not so.
Unless there's more Rondas out there than we know about. More folks who voted for him the first time who are willing to reassess.
LBJ won a landslide in 64. He even set a record eclipsing FDR's big landslide of 36 in some ways. And then 64, Nixon's president.
I want to give you this piece of advice.
Oh, the ghost of John McCain is here. By the way, on your show, is it true what you, that's probably what you heard earlier. Is it true what you were saying?
Is he the one pushing the walruses off of the Russian cliffs?
I don't know anything about that, and even if I did, I wouldn't admit it.
Oh, don't watch the videos. It's very disturbing.
I love walruses.
Yeah.
I am the walrus, cuckoo, kachoo. Is it true that on your show tonight you have a guest host?
Yeah, Joel Elber.
Joel the Moose Elber.
He's coming to visit me at 6 o'clock right here at the station.
Wow.
I have to go. I have to leave at 5.
So he's hosting your show?
We were going to start. What did I say? We were going to start kibitzing at 5, but we put it back an hour. We don't want to get too drunk before the show.
Oh, okay. So he's going to be. You're going
Anybody
to be
know
on
a good happy hour?
You're going to be on your show together.
Yes, we are going to be doing the Mr. Baseball show.
Wow.
In honor of John Weeks, Mr. Baseball. And there'll be a big shindig honoring Mr. Baseball at Billy's Sports Bar on April 14th, which is Pete Rose's birthday.
Uh-huh.
From 4 to 8 p.m.
Now, will Joel be doing traffic on your show tonight?
Traffic is good. That's it.
He will be ballyhooing the Yankees and celebrating the demise of the Red Sox, who get their World Series rings today and have been playing like nerds.
Jenny says, good choice of for a hat today, Hoppy. What's your hat say? Let's see your hat. What does that say? Oh, the Boston Red Sox, yes. See, whenever you wear a red hat from a distance, I assume it's a MAGA hat because you love and revere our president, Donald John Trump, and his very small hands.
I wish somebody would have let me immigrate to another country, but alas, they won't. I'd go to New Zealand.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I had all the points to go to Canada in 2002, but it's cold up there.
It is cold. Did you know that today is Prisoner of War Day?
No, I didn't.
Well, you know how, you know why I know
I
that?
ought to get my grandfather a Purple Heart. He was wounded during World War I, and he came back. He was lost in the trenches after one of the big battles, and he came back and fought again. Just think, if he'd surrendered, we'd have got a medal for him many years later.
If he'd you make him sound like a war hero.
People in World War I were heroes.
Oh, I only like people who weren't in World War I.
World War II, they were heroes too. Audie Murphy.
Those kind of remarks are very hurtful.
You know, Chesty Puller was a hero. He was a Marine.
I hope he wasn't
1st
captured.
Marine Division, 5 Navy Crosses. That's a hero.
By the way, I
think he won the Army gave him the Distinguished Service Cross, which means he'd have 6 equivalent medals just below the Medal of Honor.
By the way,
that's a hero.
Just to be clear, I was kidding before. I was kind of riffing on Trump because Trump apparently, or was this yet? Oh, did I get? Wait, is today the 9th or the 10th? What the hell is
It's
the
the
day?
9th.
It is okay. So today is POW Day. So so Trump.
I think of Batman. He'd throw a swing, hold his pot belly in, and you'd see pow.
That actually used to happen at the Uptown Tavern, too, when I'd book shows there back in the day when a fight would break out, and I'd actually, pow and blam would, appear. President Trump tweeted out today.
You sprayed them?
Yes. President Trump today tweeted out about prisoners of war and was immediately and deservedly deluged with replies and retweets regarding the late Senator John McCain. And apropos,
the John
to mention
McCain
this
who
because his
lied about how he got shot down and lied about how, I could have gone home. No, he couldn't. He was under orders. He wasn't the top person at the at the POW camp.
You're going to upset my co-host, the ghost of John McCain. I don't know why you would
As an
do
officer,
that's a tough question.
He had to obey the orders of his commander.
We can do it.
He wrote a book to. Can you say the word that begins with a J and then another, and then there's off?
No.
What's a good metaphor for it? I don't want to use the word that begins with an M. That's too staid.
Right, yes.
Yeah, that's what he basically did to the American people.
All of us don't know.
He played with them.
Toyed
with them.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So, so Trump tweeted this out.
Bob Kerry won the Medal of Honor.
Yes.
He was a SEAL.
Yes.
Remember they accused him, Christopher Hitchens, of being a murderer and a really bad person.
Oh, Christopher Hitchens even hated Mother Teresa, so what are you going to do?
He was obnoxious, like most
Although
atheists.
brilliant, in my opinion. But
oh, jeez. He was a drunk.
So you can't be a drunk and be brilliant? So Trump, here's what Trump tweeted out.
No, he was a drunk. He used to really drink. There was somebody, I only heard this third hand, that allegedly lived under his apartment, and you could hear the bottles rolling around.
I believe
a good detail, but I doubt that it's true.
So this was Trump's tweet from 11:31 this morning. On National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day, we honor the Americans captured and imprisoned by foreign powers while carrying out their duties to defend this great nation.
Hey.
So I shared out the story on the Unleashed Facebook page, and I said, referring to, of course, his comments about John McCain, I said, this is what zero self-awareness looks like.
Honorable Heidi, do you want Easy G's not here, and Glenn is working. Although Glenn has Tuesdays off, right?
Glenn R.J. Willett, the people's mayor, has a job now, apparently. He works at Home Depot, I think.
No,
isn't that interesting?
I don't know anything about a couch with stains on it. Was that couch stained?
What couch? That couch?
That one.
I don't know, but I've been in some bands where we had some couches in rehearsal rooms that were quite stained, if you know what I mean.
What do you do when you find out somebody you've known for a long time is delusional?
Why do
they're telling stories about the past, about people that never existed and stuff.
Does this have something to do with Trump?
It could.
Oh. What do? You use the 25th Amendment. What do you mean, what do you do? I think it's obvious, isn't it? I mean, it's really the only remedy available.
Because John McCain was just fibbing, and making things look better.
Yes. So, by the way, I did...
I guess you could just block the person.
I'm not going to... Well, you could do that. I'm not going to play it right now, but I did share it out earlier on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And I bring it up only because for those who were listening yesterday, when I mentioned Robert Mueller...
you were right. Holy one.
Being part of the team of liars that sold us the Iraq War when he was running the FBI, you reacted with incredulity as though I just said something completely insane and bizarre.
Listen, Matt, Maggie's favorite F word is Frisbee,
right.
But I'm using the other F word on you, Honorable.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh, my goodness.
She's sending nasty messages to me, and
wait,
she is a state rep.
Heidi Hamer? The Honorable Heidi Hamer?
Since 1964.
She's sending nasty messages.
Well, I was in kindergarten with her.
What do they say?
And her future husband.
Can you read them to us without
She's talking about the
getting
couch,
me fired? What about the couch?
And making salacious comments about it. And now she's talking about some woman that was on this couch that never was. People are delusional. They're delusional.
So, Fred...
power goes to your head.
Here's what Fred has to say about McCain. And, of course, I would invite the ghost of John McCain, my co-host, to chime in. Fred says...
Frisbee.
McCain was the son of an admiral. The North Vietnamese offered to let him go home early as a propaganda issue. McCain refused because...
He can't.
McCain refused because there were prisoners there held longer, which caused them to torture him even more.
He's not allowed to go. You stay there. He had a commander, and the commander thought he might have to send him in because when he ejected, he really smashed himself up.
And then when he ejected from the plane?
Oh, yeah. There's the pictures of him, the people in Hanoi. He landed in a lake in Hanoi, and they're bringing him out. The civilians were beating him, and one guy kind of shielded him. He broke his leg and his arm. He was in really bad condition. And,
whatever.
They tortured the living hell out of him and the others.
Whatever.
I was up at the VA and
Well,
people were telling me what they went through, and I should have more sympathy. But see, we were all in the generation not to have sympathy for POW.
But you said they tortured the hell out of him.
Right. And it's different,
Well, anyone who had to go through that, I think is a hero.
But
and I'm
how's that a hero?
And I'm anti-war.
So if the police pick you up and brace you and take you beyond the law, behind the booking desk and give you a good trimming and you keep your mouth shut, I guess you'd be a hero to whoever you were covering up for.
Well, I would hope to be a hero to that person.
That's a hero?
You're making this about my ties to organized crime. We don't talk about that on the air. How dare you?
Sorry.
Jeez.
I see they're trying to put
Vinny's going to be
listening device.
Vinny's going to be really mad at me that you brought that up.
I thought it was Tony.
No, it's Vinny.
I thought it was Tony.
Vinny Babadoo.
The guy who called in yesterday. His real name's Vinny. You got a big mouth.
I've got a big mouth. You brought it up. You're going to get me. So, so Fred wrote.
God for you is all.
But McCain refused sticking to the... Let me finish reading this. But
Propaganda.
McCain refused sticking to the POW code of conduct that says troops must accept release in the order in which they are captured. Jenny says, how is he not a hero? What he endured, I wouldn't want anyone to endure.
He was not a hero. There were no heroes in that war. That was a colonial war and genocidal. Oh, so you think dropping jellied gasoline on the peasants, that was okay.
No.
You can't make a moral distinction.
No, I'm anti-war.
He wasn't a guy like friends that got drafted and get stuck over there and kill everybody in the village. Everybody. Men, women, children. The guy who stopped the murder at My Lai 4 of the and saw Lieutenant Calley and Captain Medina, who shot a woman right in front of him, and got left Lee Bailey for a lawyer and said, well, she had a grenade, so he shot her with his .45. The guy who helped stop that massacre, he was a hero. Why don't we talk about him? He was ostracized, harassed, insulted. We don't talk about him, do we? Who stopped, and they brought he was part of a helicopter crew, and they took the people out of the bunker that were going to be murdered. But he's not a hero, right? Completely forgotten.
Sounds like a hero to me.
Yeah. And he did his 20 years, and he became a major, and he was ostracized, insulted.
Well?
Because they're just gooks, Kill them.
You're saying that was the attitude. You're not literally saying that, just to be clear. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, that was the attitude
right.
that you had, because when you're in a war, it's the worst instinct. Why do you get the death camps in World War II, the Nazis? Because when they're using regular troops to murder, they lose their discipline.
By the way, Chad Erickson in the Facebook live chat says, the Uptown Tavern, nice shout out. Great job, Matt Connarton.
Well, has that got a nice...
Thank you, Chad.
I never heard of the Uptown. Is there a place with Joel and I are looking for a watering hole?
Oh, the Uptown is long gone.
His girl's gone. So, women with easy virtue and good beer for a cheap price.
Oh, my goodness. And we have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this? Oh, no one there.
I've got 7 minutes.
What happens in... Oh, my God. What happens in 7 minutes? What happens? Is this something? Is this something we need to know? What's going to happen?
I got to go get the orange jacket.
Oh, you're wearing the orange jacket tonight on your show?
Time.
One last time for Mr. Baseball. Wow, that's nice.
Yeah,
you used to wear matching orange jackets, didn't you? Didn't he have one too?
Yeah, but it got besmirched when his comb, the glue came out of it when it was in his car during the summer, and kind of wrecked the jacket.
Oh, wow.
And he sat on it.
Oh. Does Joel have an orange jacket?
No, and Joel is going to wear a Yankees shirt and a Yankees hat.
Oh, my
goodness. Just to be provocative.
Is that even allowed?
Oh, Aaron Judge hit a dinger yesterday. Oh, my God.
Aaron Judge. I don't know who that is. Aaron Judge.
And Sanchez has 6 dingers.
So what, are these like hockey players with the Monarchs? Who are these people? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that sound is supposed to mean either.
You know, there's a...
And I have never been an astronaut, but I think I know the challenges of space.
Not now, Ghost of John McCain. We're talking sports.
You know, there's a hotel in Hanoi now. It's called the B-52.
Oh, I used to love the B-52s. I like Love Shack.
It's not named after them.
And Rome. You like Rome? Rome, if you want to.
During the Christmas bombing in 72, which would be considered a war crime, and Kissinger and Nixon should have been tried at The Hague, and if found guilty, you know what happens. But
Kissinger's still alive, isn't he? Isn't he like 112?
He was born in 1924.
I'm not good at math.
So he's going to be 94.
90?
Or he's born in 1923. Either 23 or he was a brilliant Harvard professor, and Daniel Ellsberg was there with him.
Oh.
They used to do the theory, which is in nuclear war, how you bluff. Ellsberg came up with a paradox.
That's actually very interesting to me.
Well, they came up with mutually assured destruction.
Fascinated by anything even remotely Cold War related is fascinating to me.
I didn't realize Ellsberg was with him at the time. But Nixon, they call it the Christmas bombing. I remember it. But I didn't know. And I knew a B-52 pilot who hated Nixon with a passion because he said they went in 4 times over Hanoi on the same route. Because the first day they wrought such destruction that Nixon was thrilled over it. He had taken command from the Secretary of the Air Force to personally command the Air Force, and he sent them back over that route 3 more times. And of course, each time more of surface-to-air missiles were there. And by the 4th time, so many pilots got killed. And, because somebody I knew, a Vietnam veteran, one of the healing things they can do is go to Vietnam. The Vietnamese are very friendly and, they consider them victims, too.
We have a call.
Did McCain ever go to Vietnam?
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Skumpi. Did you call Chuck and Panucci's?
I have some, Mr. Baseball, Mr. Hoppy.
Yeah.
You say baseball, right?
I've only got 3 minutes. If you want to come by at 7, drop by. But you work tonight.
Oh, yeah, you guys...
Have Lenny come by.
Yeah, John's going to be doing his...
I was going to ask you which
TV
baseball
show.
teams came out first. Aha.
I hope you're a Red Sox fan. Jeez, I don't know what's wrong this year.
Me neither.
And Kimbrel's not going to sign. He wants 6 years, and they figure he can get it. Some team is going to need a closer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's crazy what they did.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one's been more critical than me.
I think the Yankees are going to win the division.
I think so, too.
What do you think, Skumpi?
Yeah, I think Tampa's going to win it.
Oh, Skumpi.
I agree with Skumpi. I'm with him on this one.
Are you wagering?
It's going to be Tampa.
I don't know. You want to wager on that?
I'm going to wager on Tampa.
Or it could be the Yankees.
Yankees aren't going to do it, and neither are the Red Sox. Well, as far as right now, the Red Sox aren't going to do it. But
I wouldn't bet on any of them.
You think Tampa's got the pitching?
I have my baseball notes at home, but anyways, I still know some of them.
Absolutely.
We got to sit down and tape you.
You tell me, what year did the Red Sox start?
They started in 1901.
Yeah, 1901. I knew that,
when the
too.
Eastern League became the American League under Van Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, why don't you come, if you can, come to Billy's on April 14th.
What year did the Pittsburgh Pirates start?
Oh, geez. 1890, didn't they?
Yes, I think so. 1890.
1876, I think.
1876.
No, I don't think they go back there.
The Phillies were the earliest. 1876,
Braves.
I think. No,
the
Pirates,
Braves.
I think 1878.
The Braves go back to 1876,
the Boston Braves were before the Red Sox.
Yeah, Boston, Milwaukee. Then you got Atlanta, and you see, like Cincinnati. There was a team, the Red Stockings, but the Cincinnati Reds, when we were kids, we're the oldest team. No, they weren't. They came out of, I think, the Players League.
They were called the Red Stockings?
Oh, yeah. Or they could have been the American Association.
Yeah, they were the Red Stockings in the 1800s.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what the
They weren't professional yet.
They wouldn't call. They had to change their name briefly in the 50s.
Why?
And how about the Seattle? How many years did the Seattle Pilots play?
1 year.
You almost
and
said.
who was their star pitcher?
You are right.
And who
You
was the
son of a
rookie
bitch.
of the year? He was a great.
Then they became who?
They came the Milwaukee Brewers in the American League.
You almost said
They
Seattle.
they became the Senators and then the Brewers.
No, the Senators became Texas. The Pilots went to
They did.
Milwaukee. They had Jim Bouton was trying a knuckleball. That's in ball 4.
Wait a minute now. Wait.
And
no.
Lou
The
Piniella
Seattle Pilots
was their rookie,
they were
but he got traded to
They were
Kansas
the
City.
Washington Senators, and then they became
No,
then the Texas
Skumpi.
Rangers.
In '69, the
I gotta go. I got a phone call.
Okay,
All right,
we'll talk to you
Skumpi.
later.
I'm sorry, Matt. But yeah, I'm trying to book
It's
gigs too. I got a
raining.
bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going to
okay.
melt if I go.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so
It's time for Hoppy to go. There's a demonstration against the police at City Hall.
oh my goodness.
Granicke, the one who wants to create her own suzerainty of New Hampshire.
Uh-huh.
That you so-and-so, that's our idea.
Oh, yes, it is.
But she wants the whole state. We only want that strip.
That's right, yes. All right, John Hopwood, we'll be sure to watch. Is it Ward 13 or Queen City, or what do you call tonight's show?
Frisbee, but my F word.
Okay.
Not Maggie's F word.
And that'll be tonight at
Frisbee
7
U.
on Channel 23, the tribute to Mr. Baseball. And Joel Elber will be your guest. That's a big deal.
Maybe I need a new host.
Maybe. All right, John. And we're going to take a break. We'll be back. More Matt Connarton Unleashed coming up.
thought that someday it would make them smile. And those who said it had no chance were scowled upon and seen askance. So desperate was the hope to see a trial. February made them shiver as it came clear he'd not deliver the news that they desired was not to be acquired. I know that many people cried when they read the news, it hurt their pride. So deep in the pipe dream mired, collusion died. So bye-bye to the collusion lie. Russian agents, freaking puppet, and a plot to deny. Remnants to even till the conjecture would fly. Can they let it go and just let it die? Let it go and just let it die. We all know that he's corrupt and his list of crimes is building up. So I'll just list them down below. While emoluments could have kicked the goal, collusion was their chosen role. Investigating all of it real slow. Well, the media then lost their mind as they blundered backward, fully blind. Collusion became news. Evidence not by the clues. The other news stories all then were shut, while collusion filled every news truck. But I knew they ran out of luck the day collusion died. But they kept singing bye bye, he's a Russian ally. Papa Russian agent and the treason is spy. And every day more wacky theories reply. Time to let it go and just let it die. Let it go and just let it die. Now when Mueller issued his report, the media could not contort it to save face, though they did try. They lost all credibility, embarrassed is what they should be, and the damage done they cannot deny. They gave victory to the president, validation as if heaven sent. The courtroom was adjourned, no verdict was returned. And now when he screams about fake news, he'll be correct thanks to the ruse, which until rightfully accused the day collusion died. They were saying bye bye, he's a Russian ally. Both a Russian agent and a treasonous spy. And every day more wacky theories reply. Time to let it go and just let it die. Let it go and just let it die. I met a girl who sang the blues. She asked me for some happy news. I offered, but she just turned away. Those who followed actual facts instead of corporate media hacks would know that Mueller knew the only way. He farmed out criminal indictments to 7 districts. There's excitement, all of them pardon proof, not like the collusion spoof. So carefully he did anoint a prosecution starting point. The outcome couldn't disappoint the day collusion died. Yet they're still saying, bye-bye, he's a Russian ally, a puppet Russian agent and a treasonous spy. The Russian hysteria was misplaced outcry. Time to let it go and just let it die. Let it go and just let it die. So bye-bye to the collusion lie. Collusion obsession gave the press a black eye. And if they persist, the damage will amplify. Time to let it go and just let it die.
Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the afternoon. And if I sound a little bit distracted, it's because one of these computers just randomly rebooted itself. So I don't know what that means for the recording of today's show, because we do archive all the shows at WMNHradio.org. So I'm going to take a break. I'm going to play one more song for you. Usually I come back by now. But I'm going to play one more thing, not necessarily the whole thing, but I just want to make sure I get this computer up and running correctly and get us back on fully. I mean, we're still broadcasting on 95.3 FM, of course, but it looks like the Facebook Live stream is still going, but I'm not sure everything else is on the website, WMNHradio.org, or on Channel 97. So I'm going to play one more song for you. Bear with me.
Immigration scene, shining and feeling clean. Could it be a sin? I got stopped by the immigration man. He said he doesn't know if he can let me in. Let me in, immigration man. Can I cross the line and pray I can stay another day? Immigration man, I won't tow your line today. I can't see it anyway. There he was with his immigration face, giving me a paper chase, but the sun was coming. All it was, it looked into my space, stamped a number over my face, and it sent me running. Won't you let me in, immigration man? Can I cross the line and pray I can stay another day? Won't you let me in, immigration man? I won't tow your line today. Can't see it anyway. Here I am with my immigration form. It's big enough to keep me warm when a cold wind's coming. So go where you will, as long as you think you can. You better watch out for the man. Anywhere you're going, come on and let me in, immigration man. Cross the line and pray. Take your fingers from the tray. Let me in,
All right, everybody, welcome back. It's Matt Connarton Unleashed in the afternoon, and we've recovered from our technical kerfuffle. The computer rebooted, but it looks like the recording just kept going. I don't know how that's even possible. Actually, I do know how it's possible. I just figured it out, but I'll spare you the boring and dull details. But we are back on Channel 97 and the live stream at WMNHradio.org. Pretty sure those actually, yes, those were definitely interrupted, but that's back on now too. Well, actually, no, 97 probably wasn't interrupted either. Just the live stream on WMNHradio.org. I said I was going to spare you the details, and here I am giving you details. Okay. Anyway, so we are back. It is April 9th, 2019. Got about 45 minutes left if anyone wants to call in, 603-250-6007. The Facebook live chat, too, apparently was uninterrupted. Thank you, Jenny, for letting me know, as well as Rhonda. I appreciate that. Wonder if it has anything to do with the weather. Jenny commented earlier, it's freezing rain outside. Ooh, yes. It was actually, at one point, it looked like, it's still going, actually. At one point, it looked like big gobs of rain. Does rain fall in gobs? I don't think so. I don't think you can have a gob of water. I'm just, I don't know what I'm saying. Let's get into some other stuff. So, Jenny says it is snow. Is it snowing? No way, it's snowing. It could be. I mean, it's still relatively early in April. Actually, wouldn't shock me if it snowed. You know, Prince, who of course passed away a few years ago, had a song called "Sometimes It Snows in April." Some quick fact checking. TheHill.com reporting that Fox News' own Shepard Smith has fact checked something that Trump said earlier about Obama. Let me see. Hail is a gob of water, LOL, Jenny says. Let me see if I can find the clip of really quickly of what Trump said earlier. Trump blaming Obama for the child separation policy. I always hate how that sounds, child separation. But you know, and I think it's a bad policy. If I can get the clip to play, it's on the Mediaite website, and sometimes their wow, what is going on here with this website? Oh, here we go. We'll see if I can get it to play. It's I know I complain about it all the time, these websites that instead of just using YouTube or Vimeo and embedding the videos into their websites, they insist on using their own proprietary players, and they sometimes just don't really work. It's kind of maddening. Oh, I think I've got it, though. Let's see, because I want to share this with you. Oh, now the internet here is running kind of slow. I wonder if that has anything to do with our little incident earlier. Jenny says it's called kidnapping, referring to the child separation policy. I agree with you. By the way, they're saying now they're going to need a couple of years, about 2 years, to actually put all these kids back with their parents. They're taking their sweet. All right, I think I've got the clip. Here we go. This is Trump earlier.
Would you consider doing it again? So you understand, President Obama separated the children. Those cages that were shown, I think they were very inappropriate. They were built by President Obama's administration, not by Trump. President Obama had child separation. Take a look. The press knows it. You know it. We all know it. I'm the one that stopped it. President Obama had child separation.
Okay, so my understanding is the policy was in fact enacted prior to the Trump administration, but not enforced. So, no, Obama did not do this. So it says here, Fox News host Shepard Smith today fact-checked Trump after Trump claimed former President Obama separated children from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Here are the facts, Smith said on his show before outlining the history of family separations at the border. Smith said, quote, "Now separating rhetoric from reality when it comes to immigration in America." Oh, get it? See what he did there? Separating rhetoric from reality? I'm sure it was funny when he said it. Let's see. Actually, I think I might have the clip of Shepard Smith. Oh, no, that's... Now, here, let me see.
When it comes to immigration in America. Today, President Trump called out Democrats, federal judges, and his predecessor over problems at the border. He also said that he is planning to restart his administration, or actually what he reported is, he is not planning to restart separating undocumented children from their parents. Here's part of what the president said this afternoon. Listen for both the credit he claimed and the president he blamed.
Obama separated the children, by the way. Just so you understand. President Obama separated the children. Those cages that were shown, I think they were very inappropriate. They were built by President Obama's administration, not by Trump. President Obama had child separation. Take a look. The press knows it. You know it. We all know it. I'm the one that stopped it.
President Trump has made similar claims before. Following are the facts. First, it is undeniably true that the roots of this issue stretch back many years. In 2005, President George W. Bush launched Operation Streamline to arrest, imprison, and deport those here illegally. But Fox News research shows officials often gave children a pass. President Obama continued the operation. However, the Obama administration tended to keep families together. There were exceptions, but it was not the policy to separate. After President Trump issued the zero-tolerance order, officials did separate children from their parents. Some families have not yet been reunited. President Trump also spoke about cages. It is true that some of the photos circulating online show children kept in chain-linked enclosures during the Obama administration. For instance, this photo is from 2014. In that year, the Obama administration saw a surge in children and families from Central America. They started jailing families together as family units. And according to the reporting of our corporate cousins at the Wall Street Journal and others, quoting, Obama administration officials considered separating families, but opted not to do so. The Trump administration did separate families. The Trump Department of Homeland Security estimates more than 2,300 children had been separated from their families by last spring. And the Trump administration did detain children in cages. An unknown number of those children is still not back with their families. President Trump said today he is not reinstating his own child separation policy. John Roberts reporting live from the North Lawn. John?
Shep, good afternoon to you. Just a couple of things for context here. The numbers of family units that are coming across the border now is well above what it was back in 2014 when the Obama administration was having so many problems detaining so many people. Those problems, they have not increased exponentially by any degree, but they have dramatically increased. Now, we're talking about two things here in terms of family separations. There's something called a binary choice, which would be if a family unit is being detained, according to the law, which is under this Flores agreement, children can only be held for 20 days before they either have to be released with their family or released to either a caregiver in the United States or to a licensed federal program. Well, this binary choice would allow the parents to decide if they wanted to keep the child detained with them or released. So that would turn it over to the parents. The other thing, and this goes to the zero tolerance policy that has recently been discussed in the administration, is whether or not to resume prosecution of the head of household of these family units, which would automatically separate the children. That's what the president said that he is not considering restarting. Listen here.
We're not looking to do that now. We're not looking to do that now. Thank you very much. But it brings a lot more people to the border. When you don't do it, it brings a lot more people to the border. We are not looking to do it. But President Obama had the law. We changed the law. And I think the press should accurately report it, but of course they won't.
Yeah, and again, Shep, the accurate reporting is that the zero-tolerance policy about prosecuting out of household was enacted under the Trump administration. Now, I just got out of a 45-minute briefing with a senior administration official about all of the changes going on at DHS, and the reason why they are changing some of the leadership at DHS, in particular the Secretary, Kirstjen Nielsen, and it also looks like the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services chief may be targeted here, is because of what I'm told is the inability of the leadership to get the bureaucracy to move. There you see Francis Sisna. He is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Director. It's possible that he may be leaving. I'm told that they're not looking at removing any of the deputies at this point, but President Trump earlier today in that same Oval Office pool spray denied that he was going through any kind of a house cleaning at DHS. Listen here.
Well, I never said I'm cleaning house. I don't know who came up with that expression. We have a lot of great people over there. We have bad laws. We have a judge that just ruled incredibly that he doesn't want people staying in Mexico. Figure that one out. Nobody can believe these decisions we're getting from the Ninth Circuit. It's a disgrace.
Now, in terms of the person who will take over the Department of Homeland Security, the senior administration official said that Kevin McAleenan is profoundly frustrated with the courts, profoundly frustrated with Congress. Just reading from my notes here. Kevin comes from a law enforcement background. No one is more frustrated about the lack of action at the Department of Homeland Security than law enforcement. This is about leaving everything on the field. There will be a renewed pressure on Congress to make changes to the laws and an aggressive litigation strategy to back that up. And some senior members of Congress are telling the White House, whoa, stop with all these changes. Listen to the senator from Iowa, Chuck Grassley, here.
They have the same philosophy of enforcing the laws that Trump has, so I don't understand why they would want to get rid of them. They bring a policy and intellectual rationale to what the president's trying to do.
They have the same philosophy of enforcing the laws that President Trump has, but apparently they do not have the pull to get the bureaucracy moving, at least to officials in the White House, Shep, and that's why these changes are being made.
John Roberts, live at the White House.
All right, so I ended up playing much more of that than I intended. That's from Fox, but you know what it is? I just got for a moment there kind of wrapped up in the novelty of playing a clip from Fox News where there's factual information being given and no one is filleting, rhetorically, of course, the president. That's I wonder what, like the 70-year-old white male conservatives, because that's Fox's key demographic, I wonder what they do during the day when Shep Smith is on. They must not watch that show. That must be a completely separate audience for that. What's he on for 2 hours? Let's see. So I like Shep Smith and I like John Roberts. And John Roberts did not come from Fox originally. I think he's from CBS before. You can kind of tell. You can tell he's not a Fox guy. Because if he was like a born and bred Fox News guy, he would be like, actually, Shep, everything the president said is 100% correct. I don't know what all this fact checking is that you're doing, but why would you question him? Anyway, so you can tell he didn't come from there. And that's probably why he's paired up with Shep Smith. So Jenny said in the Facebook live chat, now, wait a minute. It was enacted under his watch. He's complicit in the least to the fact that it was in place to be used by, so referring to that the policy was in place during the Obama administration. Although it sounds like it was actually put in place during the Bush administration, and then Obama didn't really enforce it. But it was put in place to be used by Trump's administration. Buck stops at the top there, Donald. This is why we need to remember the laws we create will be under someone else's control someday. Remember that when you vote, damn it. And what's interesting about this, too, is so the speculation has been, and Trump has denied it. I'll take that for what it's worth. But the speculation has been the whole reason that Kirstjen Nielsen was forced out was because she kept telling the president, speaking truth to power and saying, look, what you're trying to do here, we can't legally do. Because when Trump says, well, there was, let me kind of back up a little bit and just speak broader, big picture here on immigration. Some of the things that they keep trying to do, that Trump wants to do, the courts say, no, you can't do that. And Trump seems to be getting increasingly frustrated that he didn't have in Kirstjen Nielsen as head of DHS, someone, Department of Homeland Security, someone who could tell him, okay, we'll figure out a way to do it. You can't do it when the courts, and Trump did complain about that, right? We have three branches of government for a reason. Again, speaking big picture, we have the executive branch, we have the legislative, and we have the judicial. And, that's what, we have a system of checks and balances, and each is a check on the other two. So when the executive branch is trying to do this, trying to do that, and then you have the judicial branch saying, no, you can't do that, then you have the executive, in this case, Trump, getting frustrated. I mean, this is the speculation that's why Kirstjen Nielsen is out, because she kept telling him, we can't do this if the judicial branch says we can't do this. And Trump is probably going, well, figure out a way to do it. And that's kind of what's been leaking out about how this happened. They had multiple meetings. I was reading somebody said they had 3 separate meetings recently where Kirstjen Nielsen was telling him, we can't do what you want to do. And John Roberts said in that clip, Trump is frustrated, and I'm sure Stephen Miller, the James Bond villain himself, Stephen Miller in the White House, is incredibly frustrated, and he's in Trump's ear. And that's the other big rumor right now, is that he is responsible, Stephen Miller, responsible for the ouster of Kirstjen Nielsen, because Stephen Miller wants to get this done, and so and he's in Trump's ear saying, you got to get rid of her, you got to get rid of whoever else is not helping us to get this done. Hello to Mike Egan, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hi, Mike. So that would seem to be what's happening, and Trump says, no, that's not what's happening at all. But there had been, too, rumors for a long time that he was becoming increasingly disenchanted with Kirstjen Nielsen. But, it doesn't look like... I hear even more sirens. Wow, look at that. It is definitely snowing outside. That is full-on snow. Well, like I said, we're not that far into April. So there you go. We should, we'll move on to, there was a couple, what was the other big thing? This isn't necessarily a big thing, but it's something that kind of surprised me. Actually, we should do this. Let's do this one, because this relates to things that we've talked about on the show recently. That affect a lot of people. And this is kind of breaking news. This just went up at 5:05 p.m. on thehill.com. Senators press drug industry middlemen over high prices. We hear a lot, of course, about, Jenny talks about it, and, the cost of prescription medication. And we have a real crisis in this country right now with insulin. A lot of people depend on insulin, and the price has skyrocketed in a relatively short period of time. The pricing practices, again, this is from The Hill, the pricing practices of pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs, face scrutiny today as senators from both parties, and this is certainly a bipartisan issue. Senators from both parties grilled company executives over their role in rising drug prices. During a hearing today, members of the Senate Finance Committee sought to shine a light on the work of PBMs, the drug middlemen, who handle claims for big insurers and help negotiate drug prices with manufacturers. Drug companies have long painted PBMs and insurers as the villains in the pricing debate, and the industry has few backers. Now, this is also interesting to me because I'm not familiar with pharmacy benefit managers and how this all works. So I'm learning something here. I'm new to this part of it. Oh, here's Chuck Grassley showing up again, as he did in that clip I played a minute ago from Fox. More transparency is needed, said a committee chairman Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa, who has long criticized PBMs for what he says are secretive industry pricing practices. Quote, The current system is so opaque that it's easy to see why there are many questions about PBM's motives and practices, unquote. Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat of Oregon, the committee's ranking member, also called out the industry's perceived lack of transparency. Wyden said, quote, bottom line, PBMs are middlemen who strike deals with drug makers in secret. In my experience, that kind of negotiation rarely results in an act of charity for consumers, unquote. And by the way, and it's not, I mean, if I have any, I agree with what Wyden is saying and what Grassley is saying, but I wouldn't even throw around the word charity. I mean, yes, this is a business, right? So, I'd be careful about using that word charity, but I would continue to hammer home the point of transparency. I'm a transparency hawk. And, when it comes to government, I always say, in that tension that exists between transparency and protecting people's privacy rights, or transparency and national security, I tend to want to err on the side of transparency. I tend to want to know as much as possible. That's why I'm a big fan of, I know some people vehemently disagree with me on this. I'm a big fan of things like WikiLeaks, and so forth. So, I want to know, Ed Snowden, I know some, and that's very divisive and not partisan either. There's, like, when it comes to Ed Snowden, for example, when that story first broke several years ago now, and I haven't even heard any or read any kind of recent update about what's happening with him. I assume he's still, I forget what country he was hiding out in. I assume he's still there. I mean, not literally hiding, but who had given him sanctuary. It was very interesting when that first happened, how I knew plenty of both Democrats and Republicans who considered him a hero, and I knew plenty of both Democrats and Republicans who considered him a traitor. And it was one of the least partisan things I've ever seen in my life. Very interesting. But I tend to want as much transparency as possible. Now, businesses, industry, in theory, they're not part of the government in and of itself. So you don't necessarily need as much transparency. But I'm really at the point where when it comes to anything related to healthcare in this country, I want transparency. I want as much transparency as possible, including this. And I've said many times on the show, particularly lately, I've made this comment when it comes to healthcare in the United States. I feel like our healthcare system, it's like, I like to use this analogy. It's like you have an old man who's retired, but he still wants to feel useful. So he has this old machine. It's kind of broken, but it still works, but it doesn't work right. It's kind of broken down. And every day, the old man, because he wants to feel useful, he takes out his toolbox and he takes out some tools and he tinkers with the machine. And every day he just tinkers a little bit, convinced that someday he'll have it fixed and working properly. If every day he just tinkers a little bit. That's like how our government treats our healthcare system. They're always tinkering, right? And they never get it right. And I don't think they ever will. And, I'm close to saying, well, maybe we dump it and go with Medicare for all, or at the very least a public option or something, which some of you might say, well, Matt, if the government can't get it right, why would you be in favor of the government taking it over? And, at this point, to be honest with you, I just want everyone to have health care. So, look, that's where we're headed anyway. Charles Krauthammer, before he passed away, I remember seeing him on Fox, and he wasn't in any way supporting or endorsing the idea, but he made a prediction, and I think he's probably right. And what he predicted is eventually we will have single payer in this country. After the Affordable Care Act and then the Republicans trying to do, repeal and replace. Under John Boehner, they made like 50 attempts. It was all a big show, right? Because they knew they couldn't actually get it done, but they wanted to look like they were doing something. And then, eventually we're going to end up at single payer because people like me, because this is how I feel, people like me are just going to get sick of watching the old man pull out his toolbox and continue to tinker with a machine that he's never going to actually fix. So maybe it's time to just trade it in for a different machine. and just have a different machine, a newer machine, maybe something more modern, maybe something that doesn't have a bunch of frayed and broken wires. You know what I mean? So maybe it's time. Maybe it is time. It works for a lot of other modern industrialized countries. And I always say this too. If there is one guiding underlying principle that I always apply to it's this. Whenever we talk about healthcare, it's this. We live in the most prosperous, most innovative, most successful country in the history of the world. You are never, and believe me, lots of people try, you are never going to convince me, living in the most successful, most innovative, most prosperous country in the history of the world, you are never going to convince me that we just can't do it, Matt. We just can't make sure that everyone in the United States has access to adequate or preferably better than adequate health care. There's just no way to do it. Sorry, can't be done. You're never going to convince me of that. There are so many modern industrialized nations on this planet that have figured it out, and we can't figure it out. We can't figure it out. Oh, it costs too much to do it. There's just no way to do it. It's absurd. And it's immoral and unethical. It's also completely absurd. Oh, it's just going to cost too much money. Well, we have plenty of money for war. We have plenty of money for aircraft carriers that end up not, barely being used, right? We've got plenty of money to make sure that Raytheon and other weapons manufacturers, I don't mean to call them out specifically, that's just the first one that came to my mind, Boeing, whoever else, right? Always got plenty of money to spread. I was having a conversation with somebody about this morning who works for one of those companies. Always plenty of money to make sure that the military-industrial complex keeps chugging along. But if you have cancer and you have no insurance, you might as well, you're done. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, how you doing? This is Tony.
Hey, Tony. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Hey, I heard, I just came out of the gym. I was listening to you talking about healthcare.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're saying that everybody should have free healthcare?
Oh, I'm not saying necessarily free. I'm kind of still feeling my way through it, but I think we have to figure out a way to make sure everyone has access to it. And maybe we have maybe we do a public option. That's what some of these Democratic candidates favor. But we got to do something.
Okay, like access to, when you say access to free health care, access to, so they get it free or they actually work and get health care?
Well, I'd prefer that they work and get health care, but not everybody can work.
Yeah. Right. No, that's understandable. If you can't work from a handicap or something like that, an issue with disability, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But the people, listen, I've had health care ever since I was 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 51 now. How did I get health care when I was 17 years old? I did the jobs that nobody else wanted to do that had health care.
Yeah.
Excuse me, when I was 18, I'm sorry.
Okay. That's great, but not everyone is so fortunate, Tony.
Have healthcare.
I'm sorry, what? You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. What?
What's that?
You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit, Tony. I didn't catch the end of what you were saying.
Oh, no, I said I've had healthcare ever since I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I've never been without it ever since.
Right.
Because I took the responsibility on my own to get a job. It might not have been the best job, but it had healthcare.
Tony, do you realize we live in a country, though, where lots of people have jobs where maybe they have health insurance, but the health insurance sucks, but that's all that's available to them? People, you can look around online, and you don't have to look very far, my friend, to find people who are dying of cancer because, the health insurance that they have found an excuse to deny them the treatment that they need. There is all kinds of really bad things going on. I'm glad that you've had.
Yeah, that's
glad
really
that
unfortunate. That is unfortunate,
and it shouldn't happen. And there's no reason for it.
But I think a lot of the problem comes with some of these politicians are so worried about refugees, and they're so worried about other people, and illegal aliens and sanctuary cities, they're not taking care of Americans. If you take care of Americans, we got plenty of money for health care, right?
Well, that part of my argument is that we have plenty of money for health care. If we have plenty of money for war, we have plenty of money for everything else.
If you don't have refugees and don't take care of refugees and take care of illegal aliens, we'll have plenty of money for Americans who need health care. So that's an easy fix.
I don't think it's. I think you're presenting a false choice, Tony. I think it's like I don't think it's a matter of we just have to stop doing everything else and then we'll have enough money for health care. But are you saying that if we stop doing everything else, then we can afford to have like a single payer system? Is that what you're advocating
for?
What
I'm saying is just like your personal budget. I'm assuming you have a personal budget. I have a budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
There's certain things that you want. You know, what takes precedence? You have to take precedence. The things that you need have to take precedence over the things that you want, correct? We need to do the same thing in the country. So there's certain things that, listen, these benefits to people that are not from this country, or we spend all these resources to people that are not even American.
You're cutting in and out, Tony. It's hard to hear you. All right, Tony, I'm gonna hang up because you got a bad connection. All right, I'm gonna end that call. Sorry about that, Tony. I appreciate the call, but I can't hear you. You're in a place with a bad cell. Feel free to call back if you get to a better place. But it sounds to me like Tony, and I get the impression, from previous calls, Tony is a Republican. I know a lot of Republicans like to believe that we have all these. Oh, this is probably Tony calling back. Tony, is that you?
No, it's your old pal Fred.
Oh, hey, Fred.
Because I was listening to Tony.
Well, what I was going to say is I know a lot of Republicans like to believe that all these illegal aliens, as they like to call them, I don't care for that term, they come into the country and they just get everything given to them free. And if only we didn't give everything away free to people who aren't Americans, then Americans could have everything they want. But obviously it doesn't take a whole lot of research to know that that's a complete fallacy. That we don't just give away everything free to undocumented immigrants and refugees, but I know that it's important for...
Especially refugees, because there's very strict laws on those.
Absolutely.
About what they get. They don't get certain things.
Absolutely. But it doesn't, that doesn't square with their xenophobia, so they act like, oh yeah, we let anyone who's...
But think of it this way. Guys like Tony think that work equates to success, or people that if you don't have, like you were saying, you can work 5 part-time jobs because companies won't give you full-time,
right?
Because then they'd have to pay benefits.
Exactly.
So you could work 5 part-time jobs, way more than he does. And as Tony has pointed out, somebody has paid for his insurance his whole life.
Right.
Because some employer, because he worked at some job. Well, okay, but when that job says, hey, I'm only going to let you work 36 hours. You're not a full-time employee.
Right.
I'm not going to pay your benefits, but,
and
I'll pay you some money.
Oh, yeah. And I meet people like that all the time, Fred. People who are working 35, 36 hours a week. They're basically full-time, but they're not. They don't get 40, and they don't get 40 because their employer doesn't want to give them health insurance. I meet people like that all the time. Oh, yeah.
And the other thing to think about, too, that is important, that our health insurance costs us more now for 2 reasons. One, because not everybody's in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody was in the pool, that's how insurance works. The more people in the pool, if everybody in the country was in the pool, then everybody would be paying in their percentage, just like Medicare, just like be right out of their paycheck. And an example of it is, as I like to say, Canada. These guys all say, well, these countries that give away their stuff, they have high taxes. Canada has universal health care, compulsory universal health care. They have no abortion law, pretty much. You can have an abortion at any point in your pregnancy. They have strict gun laws. They subsidize their colleges. They do all those things, and their high tax rate is 33%.
Right.
That's the highest tax rate. It's less than ours.
Right.
And they can afford to give health care.
Yeah. I know.
So a lot of this, the same thing. Israel, same thing. Yep. All those things are the same, and their highest tax rate is 47%. They have less people, granted, but it's still per capita. And the thing that we have to keep in mind is that, there's a middleman right now. It's called the insurance company. And those guys make a fortune. They got CEOs making millions of dollars.
Of course.
And right? And so that you're not paying into those, you don't have a middleman then when you have universal health care.
Right.
And in most of the countries that have it, as in Israel and other countries, you can buy supplemental health care if you don't think it's enough.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
And you can pay more to get better service.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm glad that Tony has had such a storybook romance with his his history with health insurance, but a lot of people are not that fortunate. Jenny,
especially self-employed people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Who are the people who actually employ most of America? Are the small business owners.
Small business owners, yeah.
Again, it costs more to do it the way we're doing it.
Right.
It's not, and nobody's getting anything for free. You don't get Medicaid for free. You pay in your whole life.
Right.
You don't get Social Security for free.
Exactly.
You pay in. Now, there are people that get it because of their grandparents paid in, or their father paid in, or somebody died, or whatever, or they're sick or something. But that's not the majority of the people.
Right.
Most people pay in.
Right. Of course.
But it's always about blaming it. It's always, reason. What is it? There's a song called Teenage Immigrant Welfare Mothers on Drugs. That's the people who cause all the problems.
Yeah, of course. Well, Jenny in the Facebook live chat says, referring to Tony, he's the guy that wants me to turn the ambulance around if they are not legal. Well, hopefully Tony wouldn't want that. I hope not, but yeah.
Well, and the fact that people, because they don't have insurance, still need to get, they cut their finger off. They're not going to just bleed to death.
Right.
They go to the emergency room.
Right.
They get a sniffle. They can't go to a doctor. They go to the emergency room.
Exactly.
People don't have insurance. Can't. And the other thing is, in countries that have universal health care, they have preventative medicine. Like for me, I didn't. For many years, I didn't have health insurance. I mean, I was self-employed and didn't have health insurance.
Yeah.
And then when I got married, my wife has really good insurance because she works for Wegmans. So I went to the doctors and they realized that I had high blood pressure because my body retained water. They gave me this tiny little pill, a diuretic, and my blood pressure is normal. I would have probably died from a heart attack or something had I not been able to go to the doctors.
Wow. Yeah.
And find that out.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's kind of the same stuff, and the whole thing about pre-existing. You can't have. We're all going to have a pre-existing thing sooner or later.
Right. Exactly.
As we get older.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was my 2 cents. I just was like, stop with this blaming of poor people. They're not the ones in charge.
I know. Yeah, but that is kind of the Republican mantra, isn't it? Blame the poor. It's like you know what it reminds me of, Fred, is when. And it's happened here in New Hampshire where it's come up every once in a while. Every few years, there's this movement in some states where Republicans want to start drug testing unemployment insurance recipients, and in every single state where it's been tried, of course, it
costs more, and they found nothing.
Right, it's been an abysmal failure, but they end up spending so much more money on the testing than they could save by kicking anyone off the rolls, and yet. I saw it happen here in New Hampshire when it came up. All these Republicans on social media, even though it's already been proven that it's a giant waste of money, they're just frothing at the mouth at the idea that, we're finally going to punish these people. And it's bizarre, but got to blame the poor.
Blame the poor.
Yep.
That's the mantra is, when you have guys like Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan Chase, he's stealing billions. And they're worried about the woman in front of them using her access card to buy a steak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she has, $50 a month she can spend, or $100 a month she can spend. But they're worried about that woman.
Right.
But they don't mind them stealing the billions from them. at the bank, where the
right, exactly, exactly. That's exactly right. Jenny said in the Facebook live chat, Florida, when they tried the drug testing thing, they found one person, and they spent millions on the program to drug test these people.
Yeah,
and they found one person.
Yeah, I got to meet Rick Scott, the other day.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, I did get to meet him. He's quite an interesting character.
Yeah.
I try not to be snarky to people when there's not a camera rolling, just,
Yeah.
because it doesn't serve any purpose. I'll never get close to him again when the camera is rolling. So
right.
But I always use those great pictures to troll him later.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I love that you do that. That's amazing.
I only have to get one picture with him. That's all that matters. One picture. Then once I got it, then me and Matt Gaetz are buddies now. I can just, hey, Matt, when you said that dumb thing, that's me, the guy with your arm around me.
That's right. So. It's fantastic.
All right, boss, you got to get out of there.
I do, yeah. We're almost out of time. All right, Fred, thank you so much for the call, my friend.
Talk to you later, boss.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. That was the great Fred Boenig from thedailyripple.org. Let's see. Jenny did make a comment too. Medicare can't be the model. It will kill off more of us than it is now. Yeah, I mean, there's different ideas. There's Medicare for all, but there's also, do a public option, which was originally part of what was to be the Affordable Care Act, but then that wasn't, the public option part of it wasn't going to fly. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, is Joel up there?
Joel the Moose Elber? I haven't seen him.
The Honorable Joel Elber to you.
Oh, that's right. He is a sitting New Hampshire state legislator, isn't he? Or is he? Is he still? I couldn't remember.
I hope he's not going to stand me up.
Well, yeah. I mean, he is supposed to be on your show tonight, Ward 13 with John Hopwood at 7 p.m. on Channel 23.
Do you simulcast it, or do you only have the tape on IPM Nation?
No, just the tape.
Oh, okay. So it'll be up there in 2 days.
Yeah.
Hopefully Joel won't break my heart like he broke Peter White's heart.
Hopefully. Well, just don't ask him to do traffic. All right.
Joel, you're a heartbreaker.
Yes. All right, John. Well, good luck with the show. Okay. Bye-bye. Let's see. Michael Alber in the Facebook live chat says the public option didn't fly because the private insurers didn't want the competition. I think that's absolutely true, Michael. They and basically, I mean, they sort of were let into the room, so to speak, to write a lot of that Affordable Care Act legislation. But we are out of time, so thank you all for your participation today. If you missed any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org. But, Jenny says we can't use any of the current models in the U.S. without ripping off the providers or shutting off care to the sick. Well, I think we should find a model that's worked for someone else, one of the other modern industrialized nations that does provide health care, like maybe Canada. But I think that there's this weird sort of, not just with healthcare, but probably with a lot of things. There's this sort of inborn thing in the United States where a lot of Americans are just reluctant to look to other countries for solutions, even if other countries are doing something that clearly is working, and Tony Robbins, the motivational guy, he talks about modeling. If you want to be successful at something, find someone else who's doing whatever it is that you want to be successful at and model what they're doing. But Americans don't like to do that. It's like too threatening or something to do anything that somebody else is doing. And this is America. We only do what we think we should be doing, even if it's a miserable failure. So anyway, thank you all again. If you missed any part of today's show, it'll be up in just a little bit. I think I already said that. And I will be back tomorrow. I will talk at y'all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.
IPMNation.com